Hey everybody, how we doing?
Hey David,
Yeah, long time no see.
it was good seeing you.
It was great seeing you. Did you get home safe?
Yeah, I did. Um, did you travel back on Saturday?
Got some dinner, hopped on the flight, and decided to get sick Friday evening, and was like in bed Saturday and Sunday. And, uh, thankfully, took a COVID test, and everything was clear. It was just a cold sinus infection or something.
Feeling better now, or
Yeah, 85%. Sudafed helps. The rest of the 15%. You know how it goes. You travel,
yeah,
it's like coin toss.
yeah, and all that stuff earlier in the week, I bet wore your body down too.
Yeah, you burn the candle from both ends. It's not quite as young as it used to be.
It happens. Hey
It's
James,
all right.
good meeting you in person as well.
Yeah, nice to see you. It
Do you all
was a
know
lot
if
of fun.
it was indeed. Do you all know if the videos have been released yet from the Plumber conference?
I do not know.
Okay, I have not seen them yet. Um, may just be able to do like a review of pertinent topics that we found interesting. Um, because we have a agenda item today for Bytecode Alliance Plumber Summit review and Wasm package tooling demo and update. Both from Taylor. Hopefully Taylor comes.
Uh, I could try pinging him. It doesn't look like he's online on Zulip though. Did you want to start with like some sort of recap or fan favorites for from the
Yeah, I think that sounds like a great idea. We'll give it till five after, then do a quick kickoff. Ooh, I need to add some videos.
oh, there he is.
The man, the myth, the legend, Taylor Thomas. Muted legend. All right. So it's 11:05, 11:05 my time. It's five after the hour. You are in the WebAssembly Working Group meeting. This is a subgroup of the tag runtime in the CNCF. My name is David Justice. I will be chairing this meeting. And we abide by the code of conduct of the CNCF, which generally means be kind to each other. Please raise your hand and you will be recognized. And yeah, so without further ado, let's get this October 1st instance of the Wasm Working Group underway. Uh, as always, please consider adding yourself to the attendance. And if you're watching this online, please feel free to reach out to us on our Slack channel in the CNCF Slack on WG-WASM. Always interested in folks that have questions or if you're looking to add to the conversation, please join us. All right, so our agenda today consists of two items. The Bytecode Alliance Plumber Summit review, and like to hear from everybody anything that they found interesting, you know, possibly surprising. And yeah, your kind of views of the Plumber Summit. I know we had 4 folks on this call that were able to attend. So I imagine we have some hopefully some diverse views of what went on and how it worked. And then a Wasm package tooling demo is on the agenda. An update from Taylor. Taylor, are you still up for that today? I'm sorry, you're currently muted.
How about now?
I can hear you.
There we go. Sorry. Harry was speaking the whole time before. And the Zoom had decided to pick something different. I put both of those items on the agenda yesterday because I actually remembered this time to put things on the agenda ahead, even though they're in my head. So they're there. So yes, I'm good to go.
Well, thank you, sir. All right. Well, fantastic. Let's do you have a preference to which one you'd like to go with? Do you want to do the demo first and then discussion? The discussion could probably be open-ended. The demo may be um, more contained.
Yeah, the demo is going to be fairly contained. So just
Right.
make sure I've got everything there. Okay, I do. Perfect. Okay. Let me share my screen. So a lot of people here were at the who are like actually in the meeting right now. We're at the Plumber Summit where we talked about this and I showed it off, but I want to show it again here so we have it recorded for posterity's sake, and then anyone who sees this later. So yay, it's terminal demo, everybody's favorite. So basically, as we've been mentioning here for a while, we've been working on Wasm packaging tools within the Bytecode Alliance context. Me and Calvin have been doing a lot of that work over there, and that has been integrating all the OCI stuff we've done. So for those who might be coming on and going, "Whoa, what's going on?" There's history to this. So back in February, James and I started a group and got a group together with inside this working group to work on the specification for storing Wasm artifacts, Wasm inside of OCI artifacts. So we have that output. It's on the tag runtime deliverables pages. You can see what that spec looks like, and we implemented that, got those libraries working. But this is part of the bigger effort to make sure that's integrated into basically first-class Wasm packaging support. I will share the repo shortly, but I think it'd be best to show the things here first. So we have a command line tool and also a set of crates. There's been suggestions that we could expose some of these crates via FFI bindings as well for languages that support C bindings. Haven't gotten there yet, but anyone interested in that, please feel free. But we have a tool called Wg, and it is it's just installed right now either by downloading the binary directly from the GitHub release or via cargo install if you already have REST around. And Wg has a few top-level commands and things. I believe we've shown get and publish before. These allow you to fetch basically components or things and use them as dependencies in your tree. Now, the thing that makes all this different from past things is because they're cross-language, they could be used for any language toolchain. And so a lot of these things can be used in the same way no matter which language toolchain they're a part of. So inside of here, there's a common thing. If you haven't seen it yet, Wg OCI is a helper that allows you to push and pull any component to a registry. It doesn't have to follow any specifications. It's so you can use it to push up deployable artifacts as well as things like packaged up WID interfaces when you're defining your own interface. So that's all available there. The Wg publish command is specifically for publishing those things that are meant to be used as dependencies, in particular right now, WIT packages. But the big thing I wanted to show off today is something that should simplify a lot of the stuff you've maybe seen if you've been toying around with WebAssembly. So there's this new Wg wit command that we just added in here. This merged as of last week. This is the big feature in 0.6, as well as some updates to some config things. And this has, right now, the update command doesn't do much. It will probably down the line, so it's there just mostly as a placeholder. Does essentially the same thing as fetch. But these two things are kind of your your key tools you're going to want to use. The first one, it's a little bit less impressive, I guess, but let me go to, I'll actually move over here to, I think this is Wasm-wg. So I can do whackage, and you can actually see where I ran this before. So what I changed here is or I'm going to change so you can see it. Oh no, I did change. Sorry, that's the 3.0 draft. So before, you actually used to have something like this where you would have we had a tool, a simple tool. It was basically a placeholder tool until we got something like this going, which I'm about to show you. You had something that had this deps.toml, deps.lock, and it fetched from direct, like from URLs, and it would output all the deps inside of here. This was it cluttered up repos. It's kind of annoying to do, and people either ended up copy pasting these or they had to figure out how to use wit deps. So what we've changed it to is all you need is this right here. You'll see that there's no deps file. There's nothing there that you actually need besides that. And then when I run this, I can go whackage wit build. It'll detect the wit directory and it'll package it up into the wit package format, which if you're not familiar with, it takes that textual representations and packages it into a WebAssembly binary format. So allows for a lot easier distribution. And you can see that this is actually the right thing because I can say Wasm tools, component, wit, and then Wasm-wg. And I did something wrong. I haven't upgraded Wasm tools. Whoops. So anyway, I can actually get around that with printing this instead. We're gonna look at some WAT. Let's pipe that into batch, shall we? See what?
No, I was just saying it's probably because of the feature gate stuff. Hold
Yeah,
on.
I haven't upgraded Wasm tools in a while, so that's my bad. Anyway, so as you'll see here, this you can see all the dependencies and things, and you'll see poll. If I look for the Wasm HTTP string, you'll see that I'm seeing like the types and like incoming handler and all the stuff you'd expect to. Sorry, I would have had that printed out as a nice wit, but I did a dumb. So anyway, that's what is the first tool, and you're like, okay, that's great and everything. So let me go ahead and run a different example for you. So the dependency stuff I mentioned, like I showed you there, you didn't need it anymore for packaging up wit, but also you don't need it for when you're building your binary. So what you're able to do now is if I do great, cannot spell today. Let's go to this. Okay, so this is just a simple component that's out there. It receives an HTTP request and fetches a dog image for you to view. So just something super dumb. But you'll see here, as I have it listed, this looks a lot cleaner than you're probably used to seeing. So this has like the cargo.toml, your lib file, and then just the world. And the world definition contains basically everything you need to know about your interface dependencies, because you say like, oh, I'm importing Wasm HTTP and then the version, so it knows exactly which things you're pulling in. So what this lets us do is we can say whackage wit fetch inside of this repo. And now if I look at it, it's fetched and populated the dependency tree for me. So you no longer have to commit the deps folder to your registry. You also have the whackage.lock file that's generated that tells you exactly which registry was pulled from, and then also the SHA of the content. And this, once again, can be used across language tool chains because you're going to use the same thing no matter where you're at. So then I'm able to build this because my Wasm tools is not installed properly. I'm going to just use wash, which does the exact same thing under the hood. Oh, I didn't have my Wasm Cloud Toml. Never mind. Won't build it. What this will let you do is actually build a component and run it just like normal. You won't have to worry about fetching anything else. The thing I can actually do the build step at least, so you see that works. Cargo build. And so what will happen is when this is done, it'll be an actual compile. Like you won't see it fail. You won't see its missing dependencies. So wit bindgen and any tooling will work. So what this lets us do is you can integrate it into tools. So we'll be integrating it into Cargo component fairly soon. But also you're able to use this from other languages as well and be able to spit out the thing that a wit bindgen can then read. So it's all automatic now. It's basically what it boils down to, and language tool chains can integrate this in. So The main thing that we have right now is that, like I said, it's going into card component. Card component is already aware of this. It can fetch the dependencies automatically, but it'll be using this new lock file format. I've been having conversations with the Go folks. The minimum bar here, which is where I'm now going to share the other screen. Package tools. Let me just make sure I get it right first. Okay. Awesome package tools. Okay, so the Wasm package tools repo here specifies the configuration file. And ideally, even if a language wants to do their own thing, Go is being a perfect example of this because Go likes everything in Go. So when they're doing that, the goal for that is that everybody can still use the same configuration formats. So the same lock files, same configuration files are kind of the integration touch points, even if somebody can't use the library directly. So I talked to them about that, and when I last talked to them towards the beginning of September, that was what they're going to at least try to implement these config file things. So that's how we're going to be able to consume the standard tool chain. Other tool chains that can like embed CLIs and things can embed whackage. One core thing to note here is at the Plumbers Summit, little preview here, we started talking with some of the other maintainers, and there might be some movement to be able to merge this into Wasm tools. So there's still just a single CLI. We just have to talk about how we want to do it. So, and if we still want to do it. So that could make this even easier than having a separate tooling. Right now it's separate because the whackage tooling is obviously registry aware, and Wasm tools is not registry aware. But yeah, this config file is here. There's been already some good feedback from people in the community that lets us give like this example right here, where you can specify some direct mapping of configs. Public registries often provide their own mappings. So anyway, that's all here. I will pass this link once again. It's, I think, in the notes many times already, but I'll do it again here in chat. I'll pass off the package tools thing. And so, yeah, anyway, Joe was talking about integrating it into Wasm tools in chat. That's the reason it's not there, is because we were told it shouldn't be there. And then when we talk to people again, they're like, maybe we were wrong, which is great. So we're just, I mean, people change their minds. It's great. That's how it works. So we'll get back on that. But anyway, this is the tooling. That's the cool stuff I have to show today. If that feels unimpressive to you, that's okay. For those of us who've been living with this for a while, this is like wonderful. So just bringing it up for people to see. We are progressing with the work there, and then now I think we're very much in the integrating this in stage. I know that like people like James are excited to have this for the .NET thing, right, James? Question mark. Okay. And then I know like I'm working on integrating it into Wasm Cloud stuff. So like I think we're all pretty excited to finally have it. Yes, Joe.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you good.
Okay. I'm personally very excited for the whackage OCI build thing you just showed us. Speaking of as a champion for the Go stuff, building some of the tools there, I find there's extremely difficult to mutate some of the read files to add the YZ CLI imports, and to basically every runtime test words that we're gonna build a test suite for that. So my thinking is if we can use whackage OCI build for every word out there, it's gonna be very useful. So appreciate your work here.
Awesome. Thanks. Any other questions, concerns, comments? Okay, that's it. Passing it back to you, David.
Well, Taylor, that was really succinct and cool. I am excited to see that stuff. I will be really interested to see how it plays across other languages. We are fairly Rust-centric in the WebAssembly community, and I think the real test is when we start to see other languages and how they integrate it with their build chains. I'm particularly excited for Go, especially with the new stuff that has landed in Go, and what is it, 1.24? So, do you recall the Wasm export? Is that 1.24? 1.24. Yep. Okay. Confirmed by Joe. Excellent. Thank you. All right. Cool, cool, cool. So, all right. What's up with people and the Plumber Summit? Okay. Any hot takes? Anybody want to get spicy right away?
I don't think there was anything too spicy at this one. There were some really good conversations though, but I'll wait and add on to whatever people say.
Well, it was good meeting people in person. You only get to do it every so often.
Second that, this is the first time I've met many of you, so. Nice to do that, and I know one of my favorite times was the collaboration and the bird of feather time. I know that wasn't recorded or anything, but it was really good conversations inside those breakouts. We're able to make some good progress on a lot of different topics.
James, I know you led one of those out about C#. Did you have any summaries from that you wanted to share?
Yeah, I mean, for C#, it was essentially kind of going over where we're at and the progress we're making around getting the toolchain and WASI P2 working. So I think the big one there was Pavel had gotten sockets working in the .NET runtime, which is a big one for some of the .NET users who are looking to connect to SQL Server and other things like that. And then kind of looking forward as to where we're going with kind of shoring up the tool chain a little bit. So there's just some updates and changes that are happening there. We have a meeting every other Tuesday. So this time next week is the C# language, SIG language meeting. So if you want to join us there, happy to have you.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I was really enthusiastic about the TLS wit. The TLS interface was really cool. Seeing how simple it actually turns out in code. Uh, that was to me very compelling. So for anybody that goes back and looks at the video, Dave Backer implemented a TLS interface and then described basically how to use it. And his, at the end, he's just very proud of it being basically a one-liner, which I don't know. It's definitely not code golf, but seeing input stream being passed in, output stream coming back out, and one is the encrypted side, or one is the unencrypted, the other one's the deep. Actually, there are two streams, right? Input and output passed in, then input and output passed back out. So decrypted going in, output coming out decrypted, but in between TLS encryption and then decryption coming back out from the host. Super useful, especially if you want to use sockets, you're probably going to need some sort of a crypto set of cipher suites and constant time algorithms, which is not something that's available in Wasm right now. And this seems like a really useful thing. So I was excited about that. What else? Who else has some?
I mean, I ended up leading 2 birds of a feather sessions that were fun. We first talked about the kind of like the packaging tool chain, which clarified a lot of things. I am not going to dive into that right now, but because it is a complex topic. But it's actually really nice what we came up with and kind of where tool chains can expect to integrate in with, and then things where it starts like being delegated to as soon as it hits one step, pretty much anything else can take it. and build it or satisfy dependencies. That's going to be kind of the vision probably for the next year or so about where those things go and making those more polished. I have a, beautiful mind diagram that I'll need to clean up at some point that I got a picture of that shows how all this works. And then we also, in typical making sure we had the right terminology fashion, decided on some better terminology than the ones we had. So we're that was really good. I mean, the output there, in case you start hearing these terms around there, is you have like a component, which is the built thing. It has pretty much no satisfied interfaces or dependencies at all. And then you have things like a lot component where things that are tying to specific things might have like a very specific version or a SHA tied to it, but aren't actually like composed together. And then bundled is like I've put everything all together and this whole thing is 100% executable kind of thing, except for maybe some system provided functions. So you'll maybe hear that it's a little bit better than the just locked and unlocked as we were calling it before. So but yeah, there's some cool things going there. Eventually when I'm able to polish it all up, we'll probably give an overview of where that's heading and whatnot. But that was one of those things there. So that was packaging. The even more interesting one was the one around Wazi Cloud, which I think everyone in this call was in that one with me on that. The big summary there is we're working on finishing up just a few little things with some Wazi key value implementations in different places, so we can move that to. I mean, the cat was fun. Before we move that to phase 3, we're getting very close there. We merged some last round of feedback. There's been a few more issues that I need to go address that have been opened. And then we have Wazi Blob Store. We're just figuring out some last things, which is what David posted in the chat for those who are in the meeting, or Calvin did to David. And so we're just working on tying up one little last question mark around that, and then some rearranging of the interface to simplify how you import it and pull it in. And then also just getting Wazi config ready to go for phase 3 as well, which that one's pretty much ready to go. We're working on some questioning around secrets, which I feel like I should probably show that off, but I'll kind of save that towards the end so people can see what the secrets API I think is going to look like, and why it was designed the way it was. But that'll probably go into Wazi config, not as part of phase 3, because I don't want to block getting some new worlds in. I mean, I want to be able to sing like a whole new world for reals for this thing as we move forward here. So really our goals around the Wazi Cloud stuff is to get these ones that we're pretty confident on. We can at least start building stuff, even if they're not absolutely perfect. We can start moving on those. So we have some very clear, concrete action items out of that. And so within a month or so, we're hoping to start getting an actual vote on those together. It might be 2 months for Wazi key value, because I know Spin wanted to get that in too, and they will be releasing that around November timeframe. So it might be after that. But anyway, before the end of the year, we're hoping we can get those votes in place. Did I miss anything interesting, my friends?
I am on the hook
I
for
c-
the spin key value, so as soon as it's done, I'll let you know.
I just add a issue to the Spin repo. Ask them to if just want to gather some feedback if they want to add the atomic and batch interfaces to the Spin. And let me finish. I just want to add on to what Taylor said. Have another PR to drop the YZ SQL interface from YZ Cloud Core. That was a decision coming out of the meeting we had in the Alliance Plumber Summit. So YZ Cloud Core is gonna be a umbrella for YZ key value, YZ blob store, YZ messaging, YZ HTTP, and YZ config. Those 5 interfaces that we have implementation on, and we are pretty confident they are gonna cover the 80% of the use cases. So YZ SQL is there no more.
Which I also owe a PR review to. I've been juggling 20 things, so my PR reviews have been less expeditious as of late. Yeah, so that's a good call. We're doing that, and we will see as well. We're going to continue to have some the Tim Hortons coffee just made my day because oh Canada, I just wanted to start singing. So the But anyway, we'll see also with messaging. We had a little bit of discussion around that, but I am kind of putting that on the back burner until we can get past these other things. Like I said, we need to get the new worlds out. That's kind of our core, and that's where, especially if in context of the Wasm Working Group here, we're representing cloud native, so those are the things we better push. They're kind of our success criteria that I've been working with Ricardo to make sure we show, like, hey, we're doing things there. So I want to make sure we can show that as a success item here sometime soon. So I think that's really good.
So as far as batch and CAS operations, I talking with the spin folks, they are good with that, and that's actually what I signed up for. So I'm going to go and update the widths to be representative of a current interface, and then implement that, including CAS and batch. So there's actually three implementations there, which is kind of interesting. So there's Redis key value, there is Azure Cosmos DB key value, and then also a SQLite key value. So this will be a really good test of, hey, does this interface actually work well across these different backend stores? And I don't foresee any issue with it. I actually think
I don't think you're gonna run into it, because like to add some even more flavor, like this is us just really covering our butts here. Like that's what
Yeah.
it comes down to, because like we have for example, in Wasm Cloud, we have implementations for Redis, by extension Valkey, for Vault, and by extension OpenBow. We have it for Nats KV, and we have it for Couch. We didn't even write it. Couchbase wrote it. Couchbase DB, like all in there. So once we have like Azure in there and SQLite, I mean, I'm going to feel very confident that we're at least not going to fall apart on the interfaces.
Yeah, I think the only thing to consider there is maybe if we didn't hit some major use case, or that fits into that like 80 percentile mark. Yeah, I think we're pretty safe as far as what functionality is there. Definitely able to implement that stuff.
Yeah. And they do, Joe was pointing out that Wasm Time does have support for key value and WASI config. The WASI config is more real. The key value one, there was originally a Redis one in there. I feel uncomfortable having direct dependencies on various tools inside of Wasm Time. Hence all the Wasm Time plugin work we've been pushing for. But yes, that's why we're doing all these implementations. So, and I also know Spin's doing WASI config. And that one is so simple. I don't think it's that hard to implement. So yeah, I'm curious what we find out here. I'm very much looking for any feedback, particularly from implementation details. There's a few issues I'm going to go back and see if those issues are from implementation detail feedback, or not, because I'm very interested in saying feedback should be through there. Blockers on WASI messaging is another question that Joe asked about. I have a draft branch out there. We really pared it back. I don't want to have to go down that rabbit hole again right now with limited time. I want to make sure that that's the blocking thing. I got something, I've put it in front of you, Joe, and David, basically the champions, just to kind of get an initial round of stuff there. But I also know that like I'd rather push all these other interfaces and make sure we have implementations and make sure we have all those things out. This is so from like just thinking about this from a pure strategic standpoint as a Wasm community and as CNCF Wasm Working Group members, this is how we show the motion of WebAssembly. A lot of people can look at it and, depending on people's various rage levels on the internet, they might sell a different story about where it's at. And the thing is, this work has been going on. And it has been a lot of effort from a lot of people to make sure that it's like we're not going to completely paint ourselves into a corner. And so I feel like we've gotten to that point. We might be missing a few things. We're never going to run out of version numbers. So I'm all on board with getting that, but that's where we're trying to go to here. I want to make sure people can see like, no, you can build other worlds on top of here. I think there's only going to be a few like super duper standard worlds, but we will start to see people I think, come together on different like worlds and use cases for things. Messaging is one of those where I think you might see stuff like queue-driven work and like all the different types of the queues and things you can set up in messaging and the competing queues and work things there. Like I think we'll see individual things pop out of that, but it won't be necessarily at this level we're going to, or we're providing some base functionality. So we just need to get this in. So that's why WASI messaging is blocked. People are surviving without it. The people who are doing it, I know that like Wasm Cloud users are doing it, but we have our own interface in the meantime because we hadn't finished defining that one. So once we get to that point, we'll just adapt it and do it as well. We just want to make sure that we can get the ones we know we can get out now out. So that's kind of the goal. Anyone else want to weigh in on the Plumber Summit? I can only think of one other thing as a we think you should know, but outside of that, yes, David.
I think an action item out of this is after the videos are released, are folks in the BA going to release a like after the Plumber Summit blog post?
Yes, I'm pretty sure
Okay.
Bailey's going to have Eric do that for us here sometime soon.
Okay, cool.
Once again, we're all just coming hot right out of it into all the other stuff we're trying to get done, and we're
I have
fast
no
approaching
doubt.
KubeCon, and we're all trying to get things done. So yeah. Anyway, it probably will be Eric, and it probably will be relatively soon.
Okay. I wasn't sure if there was anything that any artifact that we would like to uh perhaps build off of, that content, or like, hey, these are germane topics for, things in CNCF, Wasm Working Group. I don't know. I think we should consider that. Um, it is part of the charter to provide guidance and direction, um, and provide awareness of what's going on in the ecosystem. However, we are all busy, and I don't want to have us, have quixotic kind of, content creation, especially if we could focus on more meaningful contributions. But wanted to bring this.
I love the alliteration, quixotic content creation. But but and I love that word. But anyway, I agree. I'm gonna say I'm just gonna say this. You guys all know me well enough at this point. I'm not saying it in any sort of showy way. I've taken on a lot of the work here for writing out some of these deliverables. And so I have to work on some implementation stuff right now for all these things. So if I would love to have the artifact of CNCF work, Wasm Working Group, report on Bytecode, Bytecode Alliance Plumber Summit. Here's what we and reinforce hey, we're always collaborating with this group. We're members of both communities, and here's all the things we learned. And I think we talked about WASI Cloud language changes and preview 3 is coming, which is the other thing I was going to say. And that's preview, just be aware that these things are coming, and a lot of the things you still can't do, you should be able to do once we get preview 3, and maybe with a link to, the draft 0.3 interface for HTTP to show how nice it looks after we get to that wonderful world. So if someone wants to write that, I'd be more than happy to make sure we drive that towards getting it on the deliverables section, and then off to Ricardo so he can make sure he's presenting it as part of the tag runtime updates. I think that's a great idea, David. I'm just going to say I don't think I can volunteer for it because I'm now doing all the implementation stuff on the side here. So if anyone can take that, I think it'd be a great idea to have. Any volunteers?
Anyone interested? And if anybody is interested in collaborating, I would appreciate any collaborators as well. So
I can help review, David. Just you can count me in for the review at least. I can help go over
awesome.
that.
And Definitely appreciate all the hard work you put in so far, Taylor.
So we'll like, and that wasn't a cry for help or anything. I was just saying I need to.
It's okay. I'm sending donuts your way. What is your preferred brand?
There's not really good donuts around here. That's the problem. Yeah, help me, help me. So uh yeah, no, but and honestly, I think this is actually a good use of AI. Give it your summary, let it spit it out, then edit it to be good. I'm not even kidding. That's what it is perfect for. Like, hey, here's the stuff I learned. Here's some additional context. Here's some, stuff for your rag, and then have it spit out, and then say, okay, let me now just edit this so it doesn't look like a machine wrote it and it looks like I wrote it. That's what I always end up doing with those
Uh,
kind of things.
might just do that, but I'm going to edit this portion out of the video.
It's supposed to be an assistant. I'm not having to write the whole thing. I mean, I think all of us have at least reviewed talks once, if not many times, for various CNCF events, and you all know when a machine wrote it. It's still pretty obvious.
Ooh, I have a great idea. I wonder if we can actually get it to output tokens in the structure of a cap.
Oh dear. Anyway.
Sorry, I
uh,
digress. That won't end well. Okay, cool. Anybody have other topics from Plumbers Conference that they thought was cool?
I did just want to bring up the secret stuff because a lot of people have been bringing it up, and I have been linking it a million times, and it's one of those things like I promise this is going on. So I'm just going to show what we came up with. So the backstory here is we wanted to make sure I've been trying with most of the WASI Cloud work to lead with implementations as much as possible. And in that spirit, what we did in Wasm Cloud, we knew we need a secrets interface eventually, is we created a secrets interface purely for the purpose of it being added somewhere, whether it was its own separate thing or with what Calvin came up with, which is the bestest excuse for doing this, is we're going to put in the secrets next to config. Because some people always will put secrets in config or the other way around, and so at least if we're going to give people the foot gun, we can do it in a way that they literally have to ignore the other options sitting right next to them. So I thought that was a really good purpose for this. So anyway, let me share it real quick. So what the WIT looks like, and then the link, just so people have it around for reference. Essentially, as I'm showing it now, is how we're going to like put it up into WASI config. It has absolutely nothing to do with Wasm Cloud. It is just the fact that we wanted to have the implementations in place and make sure that it could be used properly. So let me get the chat up again. Sorry, missed that. There's the link to it. So this is what it will look like when I push it up. Obviously, any things that you can also see the context around why decisions were made the way they were. That's going to have some Wasm Cloud specific stuff in it because it involves what we're doing on the host to implement it. But this interface has nothing to do with Wasm Cloud. This is what we want it to look like. The key difference here for people to see is there is a store interface and then there's a reveal interface. And the store interface, anything could technically access a secret, but it can't reveal and use that secret value unless it implements reveal. So it allows you to have a security boundary around which things are revealing secrets and if you want them to be revealing secrets. So you can always get a secret. And then once you have that actual secret, it's an opaque resource handle. I mean, it's literally just a resource with no methods on it. And then you pass that secret into reveal to be able to get the value out of it. It allows for that separation of concerns because something eventually has to read it. I think down the line, was some talk, around some of the TLS things and other stuff. We might get like specific interface, like we might have like a key signing interface, but I don't think that'll necessarily be part of config. This is providing secret configuration values similar, and this is why it very much fits in the WASI cloud space. Like most cloud providers have, you generally have your like variables or things that you have, which are your config, and then you have your secrets, and then those get mounted in and sent to the thing that's running. And so that's what this is supposed to represent. And then once again, you can now, if we get this in and it's part of WASI config, which is going to be one of those core interfaces pretty much everybody implements, it will allow people to say, oh, I'm going to import the WASI WASI secret stuff, and I'm going to require that you pass me a secret value. So that way you can have APIs that might end up consuming the value that you have high trust in, and then low trust code can fetch a secret and give you a secret, but they don't have to have access to reveal that secret. So that's why this is designed the way it is. It's fairly straightforward. It's only 56 lines with comments. So that's where this came out of. So this is what we've been using for a few months now inside of Wasm Cloud, inside of components running there, just to make sure it works. So far, it's been working great. So that's the secrets interface that a lot of people were like mentioning, oh, we need one. And I'm like, wait, we got one. I promise. Just doing a thing from there. And yeah, reveal might return a result, Calvin. That might be something we want to do. But generally, we figured the result would be handled here. Like this says you have the secret. It's just not been revealed. That's where that came from. But once again, we can hash over that once we put this up. I'm perfectly fine to talk over that because there could be other reasons. But I did want to just get this out there in front of people so people knew it was there. And we want to upstream it. We're just working on getting the first party config to phase 3. Yes, James.
That's really cool. If you didn't want a particular component to be able to get secrets at all, like or like certain subset of secrets or something, is there any like RBAC or something along those lines that is handled, or if the component
that's host
this,
level. That's very much like a host level decision.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah. So like, for example, with Wasm Cloud, we have specific annotations to tell you which keys or scopes are attached to it. And then it's using cryptographic identities to know like which thing has access, and only the thing with that key can then so essentially underneath the hood, it's still using a key that the data is encrypted and then decrypt the data basically when it fetches that secret. So but like that's an implementation detail under the hood, because you would have something like in Azure, given here, like this would pop right into the Azure Vault or Azure Key, whatever. I can never remember the name of it, even though I used it all the time. And it would implement probably directly into that. And then that's where it'd be fetching its secrets. So the plug stuff there would be doing the, yeah. And Joe just asked, can hosts decide what key associated secrets can or can't be revealed to the guest? Yes, that any implementer can do whatever they want with this. And it does have the errors here, like what you can say. For example, one thing I can't believe we did. I thought we had this. Oh no, this is like the upstream because you're fetching from it. But you could also have an error that says like, no, you're just restricted. We could add another error case here that says no, like rejected, or like, and then that's why we also have like not found there, saying like, so that we can enumerate between the difference. Is it not found? Is it rejected? Any of those things are possible. It's just up to the implementation to decide what they're going to do. And like with anything in the Wasm world, this could be another component implementing and exporting this interface. This could be the host. This could be something else. It doesn't really matter. Just matters that the interface is used, just like everything else we do. Yes, David.
Thank you. This is very cool. And I wanted to ask a quick question though. So if I'm running a platform, this seems to me like I could actually like inspect and see, statically that somebody is going to reveal, like a certain component is actually going to reveal a secret. So I could determine, what component in that entire stack of components might actually be, maybe slightly more dangerous. Is that how that reads?
Yeah, that's exactly what it would read. And even from like, not just from you can read it from the WIT, right? You can see it in the world and see that it's importing reveal, but also you could theoretically put it into the WAT and see where the call is being used and even trace back what's being loaded into there. I have not tried this, but theoretically speaking, you could backtrack to like, oh, this is fetching a config value for the key name that it's going to use, and then it's using that. So then you can basically trace the thing, or it could be a hard-coded string that's then in the output, and you could say, oh, this is fetching a key called X, and then use that as like static analysis tooling.
That's really fascinating. And I don't think that's something that we can really do easily today. That kind of insight's pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's exactly why it was designed. This was a lot of people talking to, I think several big banks weighed in when we were first doing this, then a couple other people, like where it's like security is a big deal with this. And like we tried to make sure it covered that because we want the security boundaries clear. That was the whole plan of everything we did when writing this. Yes, Calvin.
The one thing that I'm particularly excited about is if we were able to use secrets without revealing them. So without actually putting them in the guest. So if the if we design this API so that reveal is optional, like or like denied, like some sort of error or something, where you can operate on the resource. And one of the cool things about this is if we land this in, let's say, WASI config or wherever it ends up being, but I like that idea. We can reference that type in whatever WASI crypto is going to end up being and do a borrow on that resource and operate, let's say, on a secret that the guest does not have access to, but you're calling into the host to do an operation that with that secret, and you're not exposing it. So like, for instance, let's say you had a secret key that signs something, and you could be using that resource as a borrow for that signing, and you never gave the key, never left anywhere. You're just using the key in the operation. So I think this will actually, when this, I'm keen to have this land sooner than later, because I think it unblocks whatever we're going to iterate on the next version of WASI crypto, which I hope we can get unblocked. Because I have some real use cases for that I'd really like to see this happen.
This is basically what you're saying. I'm just putting it out there so people can see it in code format. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna
so you
fully
can borrow.
scope it out, but yeah. So essentially this thing would import secrets and secret user, and then this would take the secret. And if this is a component, it would import reveal. If it's something else, it could, whatever, if it's a host, doing it doesn't really matter. But like essentially it could take a secret, and then that secret data can be used inside of reveal wherever it's given that handle. It could also take ownership of the secret. You could say like, no, I want to take ownership and just have it take the whole thing. So that like it knows that it has access to that. So that is 100% what we're doing. Given the interest here, we can technically add this in before phase 3 if people want me to I would just add unstable in there as the annotation, so it would be excluded from the thing while we're iterating on it. My current plan was to wait until we got WASI config in, but if people want it now, I'm not opposed to doing it. I just want to make sure that's what people want right now. We, like I said, definitely put it under unstable and then maybe stabilize it in a version or two down the road, like 0.21 or 0.22 of the WASI config interface. But I'm just curious if people are like desperate to have that now, or if they're okay waiting.
My only concern is, will that slow up graduation? Will that
I don't think
cause?
it will. I'll ask before I do it, though, if people
Yeah.
want to go down this route.
If it does not affect graduating the config, I would say, yeah, there's no, like, it's ice cream. Everybody loves ice cream, right? More.
I mean,
So
I
yeah,
do.
I would totally put it in there.
Okay. I
Uh,
mean, as far as I know, they specifically excluded the unstable ones from like that you could rev them differently. I was in that WASI meeting where they decided on that. So I think it's okay, but I can double check.
yeah, is there any stipulation in phase 4 for unstable portions of interfaces?
I don't think so, but I also don't think nothing, not even the like WASI HTTP or anything's phase 4. So I think by the time we
Yeah.
would get to phase 4, we'd have this pretty well stabilized.
Okay. Because we're definitely going to have to see, obviously multiple implementations of it. Yeah. All right, cool. Yeah.
So yeah, I just wanted to let people know because I now heard about it not only there like 3 times, but also outside of the Plumber Summit like 3 times. So I'm like, okay, time to just talk about it. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna put up there, and I'll see if I can just do that sooner rather than later.
I have a quick thought experiment. Do you think there's a way to deal with this in HTTP headers with the secret, like to so like an API key or something where you're not revealing on the guest? I'm just asking. I don't.
I don't. Let me put it in there. I don't want to crack open that can of worms. I have enough
No,
can
no.
of worms.
I'm just. That's why it's a thought experiment.
Yeah.
I'm
I
not
mean,
trying
it'd be
to.
cool to think about down the line. I think,
Yeah.
but I think it'd be hard to like with something arbitrary to label whether or not it's secret or whether or not it's plain text, and whether or not you have to deal with like as an HTTP service having to like read that. Like it's interesting. I want to have that once we have this a little bit more stable.
Yeah. I was thinking from the outgoing perspective, not the inbound. Um, but yeah.
I'm sure we'll come up with some other crazy ideas like this as time goes on. So anyway, I'll leave
Yeah.
it there. We're getting close to time.
Yeah.
But I guess I'll probably open a PR relatively soon. Once I confirm that that's not going to slow down moving us to phase 3 for WASI config. And then we can iterate on it from there. I'll add some of the stuff we were talking about, like the other error case, and then we can debate about some of the other things that were mentioned. So
Awesome. Um, any other final like closing thoughts? We have like 3 minutes left. All right, quick vote. Is every 6 months too often, often enough, not often enough for a plumbers conference?
Feels
How
a,
can we vote in threes? I'm sorry, Cal.
no, I was just gonna say my gut reaction is it kind of feels about right.
Yeah. Uh, any thoughts to where the next one should be?
Well,
Austin, Texas.
it's gonna be in winter, so how about someplace like in the south here where it's warm?
Tampa, it's got a beach. Um,
All right.
anyway, but yeah, we can provide some feedback on locations to the Bytecode Alliance board and be like, hey, um, it'll be interesting to see where we're at this next one. I'm hoping we have WASI Preview 3 at that point.
Yeah, I would love to see Preview 3 and, somewhat selfishly Threads. Awesome. All right, folks. Let's close it up. Thank you all for adding to this wonderful meeting and presenting some really interesting content. Um, folks listening at home, please don't hesitate to reach out. Find us on Slack, the WG, pound WG dash WASM in CNCF Slack. So, thank you all. We'll see you there. Talk to you all soon. Have a great day. Cheers.